Imagine this. You're at the airport, ready for your dream European vacation, but there's a problem. You didn't know about the new travel rules, and now you can't board your flight. Yeah, sounds stressful, right? Well, get this. Starting in 2025, a whole bunch of new travel rules are coming into effect. And trust me, these aren't your grandma's travel tips. We're talking about major changes that will impact every single traveler, from how you enter a country to what you can pack in your bag. So to make sure you're not caught off guard and you can actually enjoy that dream vacation, I'm breaking down 7 of the biggest travel rules coming in 2025. Let's get right into it. The first big change is happening in Europe. They're rolling out something called the Entry-Exit System, or EES for short. Now this system is all about using your beautiful face. Yeah, you heard that right. They're going to be scanning your face at the border using biometric data. This means no more fumbling around for your passport at those tiny kiosks. Just look into the camera and boom, you're good to go. But hold on, there's more. The EES will also track how long you're staying in the EU, making sure you don't overstay your welcome. Now I know what you're thinking. Graham, is this some Big Brother stuff? Look, I'm not saying it isn't a little creepy, but the EU says it's all about security and making border control smoother. So if you're planning any trips to Paris, Rome, or anywhere else in the EU, just remember to bring your A-game face, because the camera will be watching. Next up, we've got another rule change for Europe. This time, it's all about something called ETIAS, which stands for European Travel Information and Authorization System. Sounds complicated, right? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Think of ETIAS as your permission slip to enter the EU. Starting in 2025, if you're from a country that doesn't need a visa to enter the EU, you'll still need to apply for this ETIAS thing online before you go. It'll cost you a few bucks and require you to answer some basic questions about your trip. They're basically checking if you're not a security risk. Once you're approved, your ETIAS is valid for 3 years. That means you can travel to any of the participating European countries multiple times without having to apply again. So before you book that European adventure, remember to add apply for ETIAS to your to-do list. Trust me, it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, let's talk about airports. We all know how much of a hassle they can be, right? The lines, the security checks, the waiting. It's enough to make you want to stay home. But hey, there's some good news on the horizon. Airports are finally catching up with technology and rolling out biometric boarding. That's right, folks. Soon you might not even need a boarding pass. Just flash your pearly whites and you're on your way. This technology uses your unique facial features to verify your identity, making the whole boarding process way smoother and faster. No more digging through your bag for that crumpled boarding pass. No more worrying about losing it. Just smile for the camera and you're good to go. Now I know some of you might be thinking, what about my privacy? And it's a valid concern. But hey, airports are already scanning our bags and bodies, right? At least with biometric boarding, we can say goodbye to those long lines and get to our destination faster. Chapter 4. The future of flight is green sustainable aviation fuel. Now let's get serious for a second and talk about the environment. We all love to travel, but we also want to make sure we're not destroying the planet in the process, right? Well, the airline industry is finally starting to take sustainability seriously, and one of the biggest changes coming in 2025 is the use of sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF for short. Now, SAF is made from things like used cooking oil and other waste products, which means it's way better for the environment than traditional jet fuel. And get this, some airlines are already using SAF on certain flights. For example, United Airlines has committed to using 1.5 billion gallons of SAF by 2030. Now I know what you're thinking. Graham, is this going to make my flights more expensive? And the answer is, well, maybe. But hey, I'd rather pay a little extra knowing that I'm doing my part to save the planet, wouldn't you? Alright, let's talk about packing. We've all been there staring at our suitcases trying to cram in just one more pair of shoes. But here's the thing, starting in 2025, you might have to rethink your packing strategy, especially when it comes to single-use plastics. That's right, folks, more and more countries are cracking down on single-use plastics, and that includes things like plastic water bottles, shampoo bottles, and even those tiny plastic bags we all use for our toiletries. Now I know this might seem like a pain, but it's actually a good thing. We've got to do our part to reduce plastic waste, right? So, what's the solution? Well, for starters, invest in a good reusable water bottle. And instead of buying travel-sized toiletries, buy refillable containers and fill them up at home. Trust me, your suitcase, and the planet, will thank you. Now let's talk about visas. For some of us, getting a visa can be a real pain in the you know what, and unfortunately, it's about to get even tougher. Many countries are tightening their visa requirements, making it more difficult for travelers to get into their countries. Take India, for example. They've recently introduced a new e-visa system that requires travelers to provide more detailed information about their trip, like their itinerary and accommodation details. And if you're thinking about staying in India for an extended period, good luck. They've made it much harder to get long-term visas. Now I know this might seem like bad news, but it's important to remember that each country has its own reasons for implementing these stricter visa requirements. So, before you book your trip, make sure to check the visa requirements for your destination and give yourself plenty of time to apply. Alright, last but not least, let's talk about travel insurance. I know it's not the most exciting topic, but trust me, it's important, and starting in 2025, it might even be mandatory for travelers to certain destinations. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and buy the most expensive travel insurance policy you can find, but it's definitely a good idea to have some basic coverage, just in case something goes wrong. Think about it. If you get sick or injured while you're traveling, travel insurance can help cover the cost of medical expenses. And if your flight gets canceled or your luggage gets lost, travel insurance can help you recoup some of your costs. So, before you jet off on your next adventure, do yourself a favor and get travel insurance. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? So there you have it, folks. 7 travel rules that are going to change the way we travel in 2025. From facial recognition at airports to sustainable aviation fuel and stricter visa requirements, the future of travel is here. Now, I know some of these changes might seem like a hassle, but trust me, they're all for the better. Whether it's about increasing security, protecting the environment, or simply making our travel experience smoother, these new rules are designed to make travel better for everyone. So what do you think about these new travel rules? Are you ready for the future of travel? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more travel tips and updates. Safe travels.